Dhruv. So, I've been between the D's and the R's this week. I've been working on really rolling them, really rolling. And my Spanish isn't so bad, so you'd think that like rolling my R's would be pretty easy. All right. Okay. Link to the meeting minutes in the chat. We will have any number of additional folks joining, but I'm keen to start. Let's. I expect we're going to run out of time to hear from everyone. So, Mukul, Dhruv, I think Nitish is on, but I suspect he is in listening mode. And Nikhil.
No, I'm here. I'm here, Lee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got the time wrong. It's at 11. So.
Okay. those. I think we tend to try to be sensitive. I think in general, well, some of us try to be sensitive about sort of inclusion and diversity and things, but boy, when it comes to the Pacific time zone, I mean, people just, there's no apologies for it. It's just like, that's the only time. That's
Great.
Okay, very good. I think I'm, so Dhruv, we have an issue in which, for some reason, your particular user doesn't have access to this doc. Can you message me your email address? Let's get that fixed. Cool. Cool. Okay, 2 topics so far, the Git routine in the make file, UI and it being mobile friendly, or the Meshery UI and it being mobile friendly. Maybe I should move my microphone over to my mouth. And then Dhruv, you may be able to demo a little bit today. Nikhil, what topics do you have? You've been doing a few different things.
Yeah, I will be able to demo today.
Oh, nice. Okay. Talk a little bit about layer 5NG and how it's in flight, a couple of changes to it. We should talk about the Service Mesh Performance Specification website. And if Muskin joins, we will talk about GitHub repos. Okay, let's. And then Mukul, do you want to? Do we want to talk about the CI work that you've done thus far? Today, or do you want to wait until Monday? Actually, Mukul, I couldn't hear you, but that's okay. Dhruv, you're up. Let's talk about. Go ahead, Mukul.
Hey, hi Lee.
Can you repeat what you say?
Yep, we can hear you now. Yeah, go ahead.
You were saying some about my CI work. Can you repeat what
Yeah.
you said?
Yeah, I didn't know if you maybe wanted to talk a little bit about that today, or if you wanted to wait till Monday's website's call.
Yeah,
'Cause
it'd be good to talk about in websites call.
oh, okay, got it. Sure.
Okay.
All right. So, Dhruv, one topic, one demo. Maybe topic first. So part of what you've been working on is making the Meshery UI more responsive.
Yeah.
Let me stop sharing so that you can give people visual context.
Yeah. One sec.
As you're bringing that up, I'll say that there's kind of an open question as to whether or not the Meshery UI should be mobile friendly, or I think it's not necessarily intuitive that that's a high priority. Well, no, that's the wrong way of saying it. It's not necessarily intuitive that it should be mobile friendly. I'll propose that it is a goal. It's just not a high priority goal. 3 reasons why. One is because in general, you should, like in general, you can't believe how low of a resolution some of the projectors that you will display this thing, that you'll show this to others on are. So sometimes you find yourselves in situations where if you can't see the field, it's bad, especially if you're trying to present to other people. The ability to collapse the menu bar helps, but only gets you so far. So that's one. That's just sort of a general best practice. Hey, it doesn't take that much to make it responsive, to have some breakpoints and squish things.
So not necessarily mobile users are going to use it, right?
Well, yeah. Well, wait. Say your phrase again.
Someone is not going to use Meshery on the mobile, or are they?
So
If we bring up, yeah, you can say.
yeah. So the moving on to kind of the second and third points about this. The second one is that is exactly that. When people are, it is likely going to be the case. There are probably 3 ways in which people are going to use Meshery. 2 of which are mean that they're pretty darn serious about their use of Meshery. And the third way might be that they're really serious as well. And it might also be that they're just messing around. So the way in which that they might be kind of either messing around or doing something in production is that they would spin up Meshery on their as a Docker Compose application, as a tool that they turn on their local machine. They kind of pull it out ad hoc, enable it. They want to do some meshy things, and so they pull it out and use it. And then they turn it off when they're done because it was a point in time thing they wanted to do.
Yeah, what was going inside my mind was that you said we would run an instance of Meshery if we want to, say, run a tutorial or something like that, right?
Right.
Someone can interact with it. We just deploy it somewhere. I don't particularly remember exact things we talked about, but over there, I think a person can use it in mobile friendly way.
Yeah, that's a great example. That, like, part of that was that, hey, we could run Meshery as a public-facing sandbox for people to come and learn about service meshes. That might be kind of nice. People might come to the site, and just like they play with Docker or play with Kubernetes, they might play with service mesh, play with Meshery. And so you're right. Like that might be any number of clients, user agents visiting. As a matter of fact, like you're guaranteed to get mobile people showing up there. So that's a good example. The other two ways in which, and maybe now that you've said that, Drew, maybe there's sort of four, but the other two ways in which people will be using Meshery very earnestly, like very seriously, is when, whether they're in a team environment or not, they've found that like, oh, there's certain features that they use on an ongoing basis. And what will most likely be the case is that they will take and deploy Meshery to a Kubernetes cluster, or they'll deploy it. That'll be the most likely case. They might deploy it as a Docker Compose app on a separate server, but point is they're going to deploy it once, and they're going to remember where it is, and they're either going to sign in by themselves, or they're going to have their teams sign in. When they do, if they're doing, it's likely that Meshery will at some point produces alerts today, but doesn't notify people. It's likely at some point Meshery might notify people. They get an email and they click to go check it out. They're like, chances are they might be on their mobile. If they want to come run a test or look at results of tests or perform any of the actions that Meshery has, it's possible that they will, that they'll hit it on their. I guess my point is like, hey, once they've begun to use Meshery in an operational way like that, that they are likely to use a mobile interface, about as likely as they will. Like I can't tell you how many PRs I've reviewed this week on my freshly downloaded GitHub app for the phone. And that type of a task where you're doing, looking at code diffs, you wouldn't think you'd want to do on the mobile, but if it's formatted in the right way, you can kind of get it done. Anyway, point is, same thing here. The third way in which people will use Meshery very seriously, but wouldn't care about it being mobile friendly, is in a headless way. That we're likely to find that there'll be a number of people building Meshery into their pipelines, and doing either performance analysis or doing a fresh deployment of a mesh and of their app, and doing some tests. And in that case, they probably don't care about mobile. But in the other
like right now, mobile is usable, but it's not that great. If that's what you want to say. I didn't change this according to you thinking that someone would use it on a mobile. I was just thinking about the small screen and a projector or something like that. So yeah, generally the performance page is responsive now according to what we had before. I guess this is the older deployment which we had, which is not so good, but the new one, it's better. Yeah, something like this.
And it really is better.
What?
It really is better. As a matter of fact, like it's in some respects just a matter of convenience as even as a developer, as you're sitting there working on Meshery, especially the UI, you're likely to want to have it up and have your code up at the same time. So if you have a split screen going on, it's nice to.
Yeah, and I guess the second thing which we need to optimize if we want to really look into mobile would be the result itself. Because right now, as I was looking through it, it isn't exactly mobile friendly.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, yeah, everything is fine except this settings component over here, in which due to the length of the labels over here, the environment label, the service label, the metrics label, they are hiding as we pull down the screen. It is still usable. There are a few workarounds which we can do. I need to ask people because there would be a big UI change. Like we can remove the labels itself when the breakpoint becomes lower than something, or like Nikhil pointed out, we could like shorten the description itself. Like we can change environment to env and performance to PRF, something like that.
Tooltip should be visible right now. Can you see? We
What?
have we have tooltip for each of the following subtab. So
Uh,
even if the label is not visible, the tooltip
yeah,
should
yeah.
be visible.
Tool tab is visible. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. That's what I want to discuss. For mobile user, I don't think tool tab is that helpful.
Yeah, tool tip is visible, but current actually has switched to mobile mode, so that's what it is. If you can turn off the one within the this sequence.
Sorry, I can't hear
So
you.
it's still on mobile mode. Yeah, so on mobile phones we
Your
don't
voice
really
is
get
not coming properly. It's lagging.
all it.
Also, can you show the management tab?
Right now, it's just running the UI itself, so I can't show the management tab. But I changed the breakpoints over there to similar to the performance one.
Okay, so there was the issue
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
card.
That was the main issue in the issue itself. Yeah, I did change it, but right now I can't show it.
Okay, no problem.
These were the basic issues if someone wants to know.
Also, what is the use case of mobile viewport, Lee?
There's I'll try to be concise. There's kind of two that are the most compelling. One is really the notion that when people are earnestly using Meshery as an operational tool for like ongoing production use, it's most likely that they will have Meshery deployed permanently, like as an app, as a workload deployed in Kubernetes. That probably one or more people sign into as a multi-user thing, and they use it to do whatever piece of value that they're deriving from Meshery. And it will be some of the time that they will want to go in and either look at a test result, do a validation of how a service mesh is configured, or just sort of any of the, they might want to invoke a test. They might be, it's chances are that they will inevitably hit it through mobile. What will also drive part of that behavior is the notion that Meshery right now is will generate events like events in the UI, but it has yet to notify people that an event has occurred. At some point, it's likely that it probably will through email or something else. And when people get that notification, chances are higher that they, or there's a decent chance they might not be at their desk. And so it's in the case that people are like us, if we're developing Meshery and we're running it locally on our local machine, it's convenient that it's not critical that Meshery is responsive or mobile friendly. It's more of a convenience that we can kind of scoot it off to the side while we're working, kind of split screen, working on code in the UI. There's other times where, you'll actually be presenting at a conference, or even you'll be presenting, whether it's physically or virtually, and the resolution on the display that you're showing on or the projector is so low that it's like it's embarrassing to show the UI if it doesn't respond a little bit. And then there was one last one that Dhruv mentioned. Do you want to say that one again, Dhruv?
Yeah, if we have a sandbox, like something for people to learn when they are initially running Meshery, then maybe there are chances that people who are just browsing could use their mobile to access it.
Okay, yeah. So kind of if we had a learn.layer5.io or like a playwithmeshery.com that yeah, as people find their way there, they will often be on a mobile device. Not always. So there will be a couple of cases where people won't care about the UI at all. They might just build Meshery into their pipeline, and the UI isn't what they're looking for, or they're not looking for it. They're maybe looking for performance test results after the fact or something like that. And that actually is another good use case actually for a mobile-friendly UI, is like they build it into their pipeline. They're making a release of their application. And part of making that release is that they deploy it. They use Meshery to maybe deploy a mesh, deploy the app, run a performance test, and they have a certain bar, a certain line by which the performance test, they consider that it either passes or fails, which is, by the way, a use case that we need to take on in Meshery. And particularly in the event that it fails, they're likely to get a notification, or they're likely to see that the pipeline failed, that check failed, and it's maybe the case that they're on mobile there as well. Because it's really the event-driven things that catch people off guard or don't catch them at their desk always. So anyway, so it hasn't been a super really high priority, but in general is a good thing to accomplish. So Dhruv, what you're showing here, where you have the service mesh dropdown, the second input, is this code that you're showing right now uncommitted changes?
This are committed changes, what I'm showing right now. Yeah, there was one error. It was just because I was messing around with something. It's not the error which you will see in the committed changes.
Okay.
I was just trying something.
Actually, Kush, there's one thing, this might be for you or might be for someone else, but Dhruv, if you, maybe now that you're logged in, this won't happen, but when you click on, if you go to results and then go back to performance,
Yeah.
And you didn't see it, but a lot of times we'll have a snack bar, a red error come out saying, we couldn't pull your user preferences for the default values.
Okay.
There are a few different situations in which that occurs. Kush, do you remember if we have an open issue on that?
No.
Okay.
The latest issue on the user preferences was fixed by Nikhil already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, the UI was serving, but the sidebar was serving, but as far as this issue said that it should be the user should completely understand that its preferences have been loaded. So we can do that one. And that's the reason the air control.
Yeah. Nikhil, we can't make you out today. As a matter of fact, it sounds like you're quite caffeinated because your voice is coming through like a rabbit. But anyway, fair enough. And Ankita, you'd mentioned, Ankita, I think part of your comment was spot on, that like notification via a message integration on mail or cell phone, like a native notification on your cell phone. Ankita, you're right that it's what we would get to first would be probably just like an email to that user, that more of a platform native notification. That's certainly nice. But we've yet to have a true mobile app. And so to facilitate those notifications, there's a little bit of infrastructure necessary so yeah, we haven't quite made it there yet. And actually, to Kush's point, like Kush had a great question about like, hey, are we sure that having a mobile friendly interface is because, is really a goal. Like, how often do we think that we'll have people on small devices doing these big tasks? And so to Kush's point, I'm not convinced that that as a project that we will ever necessarily try to put out a mobile app. Like there are mobile use cases. There is the need to see the results of a performance report, or the results of a best practices check. But I don't know. And while we have those use cases, I don't know that we have enough justification to go create like an actual mobile app. Oh, nice. So Nikhil did fix the snack bar error I was talking about. Okay. Okay, very good. Any other comments on the mobile friendly stuff? Nice. Kush, we had a topic on the Git routine in the make file. I think without Abhishek here, probably we'll postpone that one.
Yes.
Okay. Couple of others. One is that there's an initiative called the Service Mesh Performance Specification, or the acronym for it is SMPS. And it is, specifications are hard enough they're abstract enough by themselves. They're sort of hard enough to grok and understand and enjoy, because that's what specifications are. They're a bit abstract. And so we're as a community, we're creating and collaborating with Google and with some others on creating this performance specification for the casual visitor. The only thing that really kind of give context, really explains what this specification is about, is this animated GIF. And this is good, this is helpful. But we'd go probably a lot further in helping people understand what we're trying to accomplish, and in welcoming them to collaborate if we just had a small, maybe like a single page static website. Maybe there'll be a couple of pages if we get a couple of blog posts going or what have you. And so that's what this item is about, this SMPS website. There's a collection of folks, about 3 that have been looking at a Jekyll theme and trying to identify a relatively simple theme that looks modern and sleek for us to use to go create a simple site. And who else was it? Josh. There's a document that lists out sort of 8 or so themes that were under consideration, and people are just starting to comment on those. And so, Ankita, I can't quite remember if front end or is kind of an area of focus for you, but I call you out because this is the start of that effort, and it could be something that you're interested in. So I'm going to put a link to the doc here. Good, okay. Okay, there's another topic on GitHub repositories. This topic is just, okay. This topic is just the fact that there's a little bit of cleanup to do in that, in the Layer 5 community. We've got, there's lots of contributors, lots of projects, fantastic. we've ended up creating, I don't know, there's 30 or more repos, I guess about 33, which is great. But there's some disparity between how each of these repositories is set up. And so there's a bit of legwork to be done about making sure that they have consistency in terms of the type of labels that they have, the GitHub labels, the workflows, the GitHub actions and workflows, the READMEs, the contributor guides, and those kinds of things across each of the repositories. And so Muskin Bonsall was going to take a look at trying to help here. Actually, quite a bit of updates need to be done, and so anyone who's looking to get a few easy commits under their belt, a few easy PRs, like this can be a good place to. All right, next up, a welcome bot for the Slack channels. Looks like for the general channel and the Meshery channel. Who'd like to speak to this one?
Yeah, I added it, but is my voice clear now?
It is.
Okay. So as per means like we have other bots, we can have a bot for the general channel as well as the Meshery channel. Like if a new user comes up, then the bot can show up a welcome message as well as share the welcome guide that we generally share with each of them. So that will be a handy thing for the newcomers. Because some of the times it happens that few of the members take some time or don't generally see, or the user gets a late reply for someone. So if he joins and instantly gets a message from the welcome bot, then he will be instantly working on the welcome guide and will be able to know what Meshery is and start configuring it.
This is actually a very timely question for probably for Ronald. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you'd recently joined the Slack, and you probably got hopefully a warm welcome from different people in the community, but you probably also got maybe one message from a greet bot. Did that even hit your radar, or was it kind of useless, or did it help in terms of pointing you to the newcomer's welcome guide? Good deal. And so Ronald is audio challenged, and so he was just saying, to get the most out of Slack, it's good to be where the conversation's happening in the channels, and so you can always. But he's also sort of noting that you can always browse a full list of the channels by choosing on channels on the left, and then sort of hunting and picking through which ones are of interest to you. So Ronald recently joined. He did get the greetbot notification, but didn't, wasn't presented a newcomer's guide. And so, this is bothersome, kind of to Nikhil's point that like the welcome guide is a great index of resources for people to self-serve on, to like get access to and kind of, peruse. And so Nikhil, like for my part, I keep calling it the greet bot. It's kind of a generic name, but that's literally the name of the bot. I'm not convinced that it's that we don't need something else, to your point.
Means we actually need it. welcome bot, greet bot for the newcomers, right? Or human interaction is a better bot?
Yeah, you know what? Here, let me share Slack and just kind of give an example. And in this case, I don't think Abhishek will mind that I'm sharing my conversation with him because he was trying to sign into the call, but I missed his knocking. He's not on, right? No, he's not. Well, so here's yeah, if for all of you, hopefully you're able to cruise on down to an apps section. There's a few, there's like, 10 or 11 apps that are here in our free Slack that you're most welcome to use. As a matter of fact, maybe we should try to get rid of one so that in case someone has a better idea for an app. But anyway, the one that we're using right now, this greet bot, is configured to do this. If I say /greet, let me make the screen a bit bigger. If I say /greet, this is the message that people should be getting. And while it has a link here to the contributor welcome guide, I don't know, like Ronald's a great example of the fact that maybe that doesn't really jump out to you. It probably kind of gets lost in as an automated, welcome. Maybe we should change the sentence structure around so that that's like the first sentence, and then, or have some line returns or something. Anyway, part of my issue with the greet bot here is that it would be nice. Like I didn't, and I'm gonna keep picking on Ronald, but I didn't know when that Ronald had joined up until that he had joined Slack up until you jumped on to the last call. And then it was after that I went back into like the general channel and noticed that, oh, hey, there's a new member. So for my part, it would be nice, like if I'd like to get notified when people join. It's something to be celebrated. Anyway, Nikhil, if you would, like if you're looking at this, if you can try to reconfigure the greet bot, and if you don't have those permissions, let me know. And if it can accomplish, if it can accomplish, there's a community management channel that where there's a collection of individuals. Some of the individuals that are on this call spend time trying to make sure that everyone feels welcomed and has the right resources. It would be great if that greet bot sent a message there as well.
Okay, I will look into it.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, we've I think it's on the order of about 2 or 3 people joining the Slack a day. So it's an ongoing need. Anybody else interested or have any comments on the welcome bot? You're all riveted by the welcome bot. All right, cool. We're just cruising through the topics today. This is good. So who's got the next one?
Yeah, it is for me only.
Cool.
So currently we are having a page when the user clicks on the management option in the dive menu on the left side, it gets redirected to a page with a set button in the middle. That the conversation that we were having earlier. So I just wanted to clarify if we want to use a snack bar or that page itself. Which will be the better user experience?
Yeah. Do you happen to have Meshery up? If not, I can bring it up and share it.
Yeah, I have it.
Nice.
Just.
All right. So this is a good question for everyone on the call. Since everyone will experience this at one point or the other, Nikhil's going to demonstrate what I consider to be a poor user experience right now. And he's going to suggest how we might fix it. Let's see what you think.
Yeah. So my screen is visible.
It's coming up. There it is.
Okay. So yeah, currently we have this one configured. When we click on the management part, when no adapters are configured, we get a page with showing a button in middle to go to the settings page to configure the adapters, which the link should also be changed to service meshes. Yeah, you were saying something?
Sorry. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah. So to button in the center with to which redirects to the settings page. So this is what we are. But when we click on any adapters, we don't get any notification if they are not configured or anything. So I was working on that and came with an implementation that when we click on it, we'll get two notifications. One with no adapters configured, and another will have a link in it which will redirect me to the page on where we can configure the adapters. So I'm running it on the local 3000 port, so it will take a bit of time as it's the local developer. So it will be redirected to the settings page under the service mesh tab. So I just wanted to clarify which will be a better user experience. Means a snack bar with a clickable snack bar or the page with a button to redirect the user. It won't take this much time actually. It's just your local. So it's taking a bit of time.
So why don't we just hide the adapters which are not configured?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Why don't we just hide the adapters from the navigation bar which are not configured?
Yeah, for discovery. It's in part because it's kind of the same reason that we put the adapter UI chips into the dashboard, even though there isn't a connection. It's like, well, until we build a better dashboard, people, if we don't show them the fact that there are unconnected adapters, they may not realize that that's a task they need to perform. So it's not a great experience, but it's kind of the best that we can get for this point in time. Yeah, because if you imagine that if we collapse it, like the management, like conceptually, even though you can't tell, there's two tiers of navigation in the left-hand side nav bar. There's two high-level links. One is called performance, and the other one is called management. Results that are under performance, that's actually a sub menu item of performance. Each of the 6 names of the service meshes, those are sub menu items of the management menu. I mean, in one respect, if we didn't show those service meshes, it would be, Meshery would look really tiny when they're not connected. You're right that we do want to enable control for this, for users to hide things after the fact. So anyway, going back to Nikhil's question, Nikhil, if you could maybe take it from the top, we'll run people through one more time to make sure that they understand. So if you go to the dashboard, because I think if you're starting here and that's probably not what people are going to understand. All right, if you...
Okay. So, done, I guess.
Do you...
before this, I didn't even know how it happened. It was working. I would have showed in this one only, but it takes a bit of time to redact, so I'm using this one.
Hey, I wanted to add on something. Why do we want two snack bars to show the same thing, that a wrapper is not connected and you can join in your wrapper? You can just put it in same snack bar, like connect to wrapper.
The purpose of two snacks bar is that the intention of both of them is different. Means one of them is in red color, showing it's an error that we don't have a adapter connected, and the other one is an info one that shows that we can redact to it to the page where we can connect to. That's why I intentionally put up two snacks rather than using one. Okay. So this is one way that we're using currently, showing a page if the adapters are not configured.
Okay, wait, yeah, if you would, yeah, if you go here, so just to kind of take everyone through it from the top, that the majority of the time that someone goes to bring up Meshery, hopefully the majority of the time they don't actually see the UI just like this with all those green Meshery icons on the right-hand side. Hopefully most of the time, Meshery should be automatically connecting to its own adapters. But it will be the case that sometimes they'll come in and Meshery's adapters, those 6 that you see with the green icon, won't be connected. And part of their task in setting up Meshery will be to connect Meshery to its adapters. And so, yeah, Nikhil, if you, there's kind of two ways in which people will configure their adapters. If you go back to the dashboard for a second. So one way is that they look at those chips. That's kind of the name of the React component, or the material UI component. If you click on one of those, so just sort of by discovery, people will be like, oh, okay, couldn't ping the adapter. And it sort of repeats itself. Could not ping adapter. Adapter cannot be pinged. Okay. And to Nikhil's point, they're like, well, so I guess something's broken. Like, what am I supposed to do? And there's nothing in that snack bar to click on to help them remediate the issue. So not the best user experience. First of all, I would say getting snack bars in general, not the best user experience, especially red ones. I feel like I'm getting slapped on the wrist every time I get one of those. Or I feel embarrassed that like, oh, there's a bug. Oh, there's a bug. So that's part of the experience. Nikhil is highlighting that, okay, well, if a user navigates over to the console link, that they click, and then all of a sudden they start rage clicking. What the heck is going on? This thing sucks. I can't. This tool is just crap. And then they walk away, and then they tweet about it. And no, I'm just kidding. They no, and so, well, geez, does this tool even work? Okay. And so okay, so that's part of the experience. If they click on management, assuming that they wanted to, they'll get this experience that says, well, actually, what this is telling them without actually verbalizing it, I mean, there's only one thing to do, so they're kind of driven to do one thing. What this is telling them is you don't have your adapters configured. They're not connected. So the task here is to click the only button you can click. And yeah, if you would, Nikhil. They get taken to the settings page. Now, there's a small improvement that needs to happen, that when they get taken to the settings page, right now they're landing on that first environment tab. They should be landing on that second tab, the service meshes tab. So yeah. And here, this is where they perform the task of connecting the Meshery server to the Meshery adapters. So if you click the drop-down list, you'll see basically the same list of adapter names that we were seeing in the UI chips on the dashboard. And if you try to submit, it's going to not work, I don't think. And the same kind of a thing is like, well, this tool sucks. What's going on? And I would agree with them that the way that we have it configured right now is it ain't so hot. Like it's, and so what Nikhil's trying to do is improve upon that in a fantastic way. What Nikhil has identified is, and this needs to be universally true, whether it's in a snack bar or elsewhere, that when someone sees an error, and actually collectively across the project, every time that we're outputting a standard error or outputting an error, the project itself needs to have, we need to just make up our list of our own unique identifiers for, error code 2008, or, I'm sorry, that sounds like a year. Error code, 1307. And they have a code, a unique identifier that says adapter could not be pinged. And then they should have a button that says, click here to fix, or whatever they're supposed to do, like Nikhil is showing, which actually drops them right into the area where they should be able to fix this. And that's a better experience than what we have today. That's good. The question is that Nikhil's getting to is, well, is there, of that that's an improvement in the experience. There's an alternative way to also improve the experience. And this is kind of the question that Nikhil is presenting is like, Nikhil, if you go back to the dashboard and the user is here, maybe they're on the left-hand side, kind of rage clicking on, one of these, like why don't these go anywhere? The proposal, part of the proposal is that when they click on any one of those service mesh names, that if you click on management, Nikhil, that they would be taken to this very same page that basically says, the console adapter is not connected, or the Istio adapter is not connected. Click configure settings to connect your adapter. Like there's probably a little more verbiage that needs to be on this page, but that they would have that experience. So I'll pause there. One question is, does everyone agree that it's a better experience when someone clicks on a service mesh name that doesn't have a connected adapter, that they're taken to this intermediate page that says configure setting?
Yeah, it looks good. Blue is definitely better than red.
Nice. And Kush, you had a...
The single page button is better than the snack bar link.
Okay. Okay. Very good. And then there's another question in here. Nikhil, if you go back, so that I totally agree, guys. Yeah. And by the way, and Ankita and Ronald, I keep calling you guys out specifically because I want you to feel welcomed and encouraged to jump in. Like this is one of those things, like everyone is entitled to an opinion because everyone uses it. And so, okay, good. And so like your opinion is just, your user, I'm a user, your opinion is just as valid as everyone else. Okay, so then Nikhil had a second question, which is like, all right, he's here, and instead of the user clicking on the left-hand side nav menu as one way to get to that service mesh, they're clicking on the adapter chip on the right-hand side. And today, this is the experience. They're kind of left with, red messages with no help. The question, or there's a couple of questions. One is, in the same, or I would, here, I'll go ahead and express an opinion and say that of what I'd said earlier, which is anytime someone's seeing an error, they really should be seeing a suggestion on how to remediate it. And so in that same snack bar where it says, instead of saying it couldn't ping twice, basically, it should say, couldn't ping, click here to configure settings, or what, like click here to basically take them to that same page. Like that would be, I guess that would be an improvement. I'm saying it as a factual statement. I guess that's more of a question. And I guess it's part of what Drew was saying earlier is like, I'm putting words in his mouth, but like Drew, you're saying like, hey, this is an improvement that you would have that second info snack bar, but gosh, I wonder if getting one of those in your face, maybe. Well, Drew, would you say it like this? Because this is actually the question, like getting one of those in your face is kind of bad enough, but then like getting two of them is even worse. Or what would?
Yeah, that was what I was trying to say. Yeah, but if there is a reason for somewhere where one of them is individually occurring, then I guess it is okay for have two different snack bars notified.
Right. Yeah, there could be, right. Yeah. You're saying that, hey, like while that doesn't feel as good, you acknowledge that there could be a use case in which it makes sense. Kush, go ahead.
So rather than having two snack bars or a clickable notification link, we can give a pop-up or a model which can be more detailed. If the adopter is successfully pinged, then it can show the status that it was successfully pinged, and if it is not available to connect, then we can give some instruction in the pop-up.
I tend to agree with what Kush is suggesting in general, which is like, hey, this whole, so there's a bigger question here, which is the paradigm of user interaction that we're having here, where someone clicks a chip and they get either a green, blue, or red snack bar, is actually probably not like the whole interaction paradigm probably needs to change. So Nikhil, for me, like my feedback is, I do consider that there are two immediate improvements that would be welcomed and helpful. One is that in the nav menu on the left-hand side, when someone clicks on those things, it should take them to configure settings. That would be more helpful. That two, yes, inside of the existing snack bar that we have, that we're telling people we couldn't do this, but then here's a link to go fix. Basically, here's a link to configure settings. Those would be an improvement. And that I agree with, or my opinion is that we wouldn't want to have two snack bars. And we're basically repeating ourselves in the first one. We may as well be more helpful and tell them how to fix it. My third perspective is in part what Kush was just saying, which is software, and this project in particular is a continual improvement. And one of the areas that's in need of improvement is this whole interaction around chips and snack bars. Like snack bars are not what a user needs when they are sitting there real time, synchronously having something happen. They don't need an asynchronous notification that some background task occurred or didn't occur. No. That's a foreground task. They're sitting right here. The snack bars are best used when there's some long-lived job or process that they invoke, and it's going to take like a minute, 2 minutes, whatever. And so they go over and they navigate somewhere else, and they're doing something else, and all of a sudden that other thing gets done. Then they can either get a little notification up in that bell right by Nikhil's avatar, or they can get a snack bar if it's appropriate. And so for those of you on the call that are interested, I'd be curious in your perspectives on how to change this interaction maybe altogether. And Kush gave one as an example of a modal. that can work, so long as the modal is like super easy to dismiss. And by that, I mean, you don't have to hit the X, you don't have to hit the OK. You can click anywhere and it goes away, because modals are pretty bad as well. Like, they're pretty in your face, annoying. They take over your whole damn screen, your whole focus. And imagine if you're sitting there clicking on something to test it, and all of a sudden it takes over your whole screen and says like, oh, this is the most important thing. This has to take away your attention from everything else. You have to pay attention to this. And guess what? Yes, I could ping your adapter. Like, what? Like, you needed to take over my whole screen just to tell me that my adapter is doing okay? Okay. So I think that there's probably a better, and I'm hammering on Kush like that. That was a great, I'm glad that you're opening up this conversation about, I actually don't know what the answer is. I don't have a good suggestion. Looking for you guys to. Kush put in a link to a Sweet Alert 2. So maybe oh shoot, I didn't know that we're 3 minutes over. Nikhil, if it's okay with you, maybe we concluded on at least 2 steps forward.
Yeah, got it.
And then, but I think there's a third one here that's really, like, maybe we need to step back and give ourselves the freedom to, change this up. So, okay, cool. Well, I am sensitive to people's time. I'm always sensitive to kind of running long, which we do. But please know, I guess everyone on the call, and like, this is a call for suggestions. So Kush, I'll put the link that you had into the meeting minutes so people can check it out. And does anyone have anything else before we, sign off for the day? Good. All right. But if not, then we'll catch you guys on Friday for the community call. Oh wait, Shivam, you've got, yeah.
Can we discuss my issue here so that you can get a better understanding for that?
Yeah. So let me say this, that that the dev call is over. Everyone is welcome to stay, but the next topic is just a bit of troubleshooting on Shivam's system. So please hang out if you want to, but if it's time to go, then we'll see you on Friday. Either way. And so, yeah, Shivam, if you want to share your screen.
Okay. Let me share my screen.
By the way, Shivam, the answer here, by the way, is really just going to be, you're going to have to give your Ubuntu VM more resources. Yeah, we can. Push.